In a relationship, we absolutely have the right to have our emotions expressed and cared about. Now, emotions can be very triggering. People often get really triggered around their emotions, especially the uncomfortable ones. Like sometimes you'll be jealous, you'll be sad, you'll feel rejected, you'll be angry. These feelings all come up in a relationship. So it's really important to be able to express those to our partner in a way that's kind and not reactive. That really helps because if we're reactive, they're going to be reactive. That's the first thing. So it's really important for us to learn how to be with our emotions, but we're not going to be perfect. And the other person may get triggered, but it's so important that they come back, that both people come back together and work it out, rather than being in a situation where certain emotions are never safe to tell or share because you know your partner will reject you, leave you, belittle you, or get angry. There'll be some kind of a backlash, or it will never be resolved because this person is emotionally avoidant. For example, someone could have a need that they want to express. Say, I'd like to have some one-on-one time once a week. I'd love for us to have do something together once a week. I would like more closeness. And the other person may, if they're not healthy, they could say, God, you're always so needy, or I'm way too busy with my own stuff, or um, why is everything I do never good enough? They might just get like that. And so then why would you want to even be with that person who doesn't care what you want or what you need or how you feel? That's why often people don't share. And that's why I put this on my keep him or leave him checklist. I'm afraid to tell him what I want, need, or feel because that makes him pull away, judge me, get angry, belittle me, or make fun of me. So, two things there. One, are you owning that you have a right to share your feelings? Maybe you grew up in a home where it wasn't safe or it wasn't practiced. So, this is a whole new skill for you. I'm here to tell you that you have a right in your relationship to say, I want these things. I need these things. I feel these things. Your partner does not have the obligation to meet any of those needs. Okay? However, you have the right in a healthy relationship to express that and to be with someone who cares what your needs, wants, and feelings are rather than running away, rejecting you, or like, I don't want to talk about it ever. It's okay if it's something really hard for your partner to handle. It's okay for them to say, like, okay, well, oh wow, I'm really triggered right now, but let's talk about this tomorrow. In a healthy relationship, there is a resolution. What I want people to know, and I made this checklist for ladies, keep them or leave them, but I guess guys could download it too. Check the descriptions for the link to get these checklists. That if you're afraid to tell your partner what you want, need, or feel because of how he reacts, that's a guy I would say, that's one L for leaving. That's one on the scorecard for leaving him. Now, it could also be that he wouldn't leave you or reject you, but you haven't owned the fact that you have a right to tell someone what you want, need, or feel because you grew up in a home where nobody talked about emotions. So it's a whole new skill set for you. For me, this was a really uncomfortable thing, but when I was a little girl, I would be very angry with my parents if they didn't care how I felt. I would get angry and hate them often. And I had the space for that because I felt very loved by them. But I was in a marriage with someone who was very uncomfortable with my emotions, and I allowed it because I was uncomfortable because of how I was raised. It didn't feel safe to show emotions. I thought showing emotions made me weak. I tried to be more like a man, be very logical. I got my degree in computer science. It was all math and logic. I read a lot of finance stuff. I didn't really get into my emotional stuff until after my divorce or right towards the end of my 25-year marriage. I didn't really learn how to deal with my emotions until then. And And when I left him, I made a decision. I will never fucking again date any man who doesn't give a shit about how I feel. You have to care how I feel, and you have to be able to handle my emotions. You have to be able to handle when I get mad. You have to be able to handle my emotions. Even if that means telling me, Shahrzad, cut it out right now. We'll talk about this later, in a way that feels good to me, or making a joke to make me not be angry. It's not very hard to deal with a woman's emotions if you're emotionally competent, if you're not afraid of that woman's emotions. Okay, so that requires a lot of a man. I'm pretty choosy. Like, he's got to have a good skill set. And I'm letting you know, one of the ways that you can get very comfortable with dealing with someone's emotions is to not be so scared of them. And you do that by learning to be comfortable with your own emotions. Like, I'm very comfortable with anger, so I wouldn't be comfortable around a man. Like, if a man around me gets angry, I'm pretty comfortable. Unless I feel like he could maybe get angry enough to hit me, I just listen. Like, I'm a safe, this is a safe space for you to be who you are, but I get triggered around people sometimes. The best thing to do is to learn to be with our own emotions, so that way we can be with the emotions that other people have. And then if we're super triggered, to be like, and we react, is to come back later and say, I overreacted. I wasn't my best self. I'm really sorry. Um, and then to reach a conclusion on whatever the problem was. I kind of modeled that recently. I got kind of triggered by a guy who left some comments on my YouTube channel, and I did a rant. And then the next morning, I did an apology, kind of like, hey, I got triggered. I'm modeling that there in the video. I do that sometimes in my real life, especially with one of my family members, one of my siblings. But we always make up right away because I apologize if I get triggered, and she lets me know, hey, that was not nice. But we always come to a resolution based on love. And in my marriage, that wasn't there. I think it's super important to be able to share how we feel and to be with someone who cares, because unless if you want an emotionally satisfying relationship. If you just want a relationship out of convenience or for the kids, that might not matter. But I will say that in order to get to that point of that emotional fulfillment, I think we have to be comfortable with our own emotions, know that we have a right to have these emotions, and to expect to have friendships with people who let us express our feelings, who know how to handle them. So if you want to get that keep them or leave them checklist, it's in the description below is the link. And again, the question is the leave him. This is the question for leaving him. I'm afraid to tell him what I want, need, or feel because it makes him pull away, judge me, get angry, belittle me, or make fun of me. I know when I used to get mad, my ex-husband, sometimes he would just go in his bedroom, close the door, and be like, I don't want to talk about it. And then he would never want to talk about it. That's a problem. Also, after my divorce, I was going to like these different groups. There were so many different interesting groups, some of them put on by the polyamory people. And one of the things I learned, they were talking about wants, talking to your relationship about what you want. I'm like, I'm allowed to have wants? I'm allowed to have needs? I didn't think I was allowed to have wants or needs. Like, I always repressed that, like it was bad. And they also suggested that when you first date someone, you give them a list of all your baggage, and so they can decide if they want to date you. That's a very good idea. Anyway, if you want some help dealing with your emotions, I have a really good tool set. All you do, really, and I coach people through this very powerfully, I have to say, is you feel the emotion in your body. So when you get reacted or triggered, you got to just come into your body. It's easier to do it when I'm away from people. When I'm with people, it's often hard. I get reactive, but you feel that energy in your body and you allow it and you open to it and you actually go inside of it, and then it'll just dissolve. You have to be able to sit with that uncomfortable energy. And it's hard for me sometimes when people are like, if someone were yelling at me or accusing me, I actually did have someone criticize me recently. I felt all that critical energy coming at me, and I was able to be with it without reacting. But I felt this anger rise up in me. I was almost going to be like, get the hell out of here. But I didn't say that. I was able to be with it. And that's just from years of practicing it, but it gets hard sometimes. I think the important thing though is, guys, we all get triggered and reactive. That's just human nature, okay? We're all going to do that. The important thing is to be able to come back and say, I care about what you want. I care about what you need. I care how you feel, and have like a good resolution, and to really try to create a safe space where people can express how they feel. It's so important. So anyway, I invite you to download the dating checklist, and thank you so much for watching my video, you guys.